Hey people, hope everyone is doing fine today. Let me know if you can there in the comments section if you can hear me just fine. We are waiting for Pablo here in just a couple minutes. He'll be here already, but I just want to check if my sound is doing good. And yeah, checking with you guys. There's no Matt. It's about financial survival with Pablo Ortiz. Yeah, Pablo Ortiz is very well versed in economics, and he's an international financial trader. You can find his channel in the description below, and yeah, he has a very good head for these sort of things. So that's why I asked him to do a presentation today. He did it for my Spanish channel. It went very well. It's very well organized, and I think you guys will like it. Survivalist guy on YouTube claims Putin ordered all nukes out of Europe. No idea what that means. Good afternoon, all. Hello, Fernando, Scott. Good Sunday, and let's go, guys, says Fernando Ben. Okay, awesome. Let me just check a couple things here. Let me know how you guys are doing. If everything is fine where you're at. I was reading some interesting stuff about the Pelosi thing. I don't want to get all conspiracy theorist here, but is it true? Let me know there in the comments. Is it true that the guy was a friend of his from a escort service that the Pelosi's wife had been involved with at some point, apparently? Anyway, that's what I was reading about, and Elon Musk posted something about that as well. I don't know. I haven't had the time to check up with all of that, but very, very interesting if that was the case. I mean, weirder things have happened, so not all that surprise, but yeah, anyway. Okay, yeah, there it is. Rubber Chick 72. Pelosi's husband had a gay lover quarrel. Yeah, that seems because there's a phone call of him. Um, yeah, backing in the camera a little bit. Yes, thing is, if I go back too much, the thing is, if I go back too much, I have the microphone. It's probably gonna be a little bit better when I have Pablo here and we split the screen in two. So yeah. Carissa Cantwell, it's a nice story with lots of questions. Yes, yeah, for sure. Where's Matt these days? Matt is, as always, doing his thing in Florida with his boat and stuff like that. So, yeah, hopefully he's doing just fine. So really chill, 82 degrees Fahrenheit here in SoCal. Brr. Yeah, nice. How's everyone doing for Halloween? Are you guys preparing anything interesting? I mean, we celebrated here as well, but apparently the recording of the dispatcher to the officers references the reporting party said that they didn't know the male in the house, but his name was David and a friend. Yeah, that's weird, right? It's kind of strange. And she has no security detail. I mean, isn't it more likely that he actually knew the man and he let the man in? Otherwise, what kind of security do they have if a guy with a hammer just walks into the house of Nancy Pelosi unchecked, nothing? That is the strangest part. Let me check with Pablo just 1 second. Okay. Yeah, he was having a little bit of internet connection thing problem, but hopefully it's fine. Um, Conscious movie reviews. Pelosi attack is a distraction from Elon Musk taking over Twitter. Katie Hobbs invasion is second distraction. I don't know. About Elon Musk taking over Twitter. He sent that letter to the advertisers, like it's not going to be the Wild West, so kind of like calming the waters. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be offering a more open and free speech platform than the shit show that was before. But I don't know. Let's see. Hey, I have Pablo right here. Let me add him to the stream. Okay. Just 1 second. And I'll have Pablo here online right now. Okay. Pablo, good to see you. We're live right now. Can you hear me fine? Is the volume okay?
It's perfect. How's my sound? My mic is okay?
Yes, I hear you perfectly well. Yes, I guess
Perfect.
everyone does too. Yes, fantastic. Nice. Yeah,
Great.
and the connection seems to be good as well. So yeah,
Yeah, we
let's
had a massive
fingers
storm. We
crossed.
are in the countryside, and there were short outages actually. For the very first time, we were 5 hours. I have solar
Really?
panels. Yeah, it was, and some actually some towers. The internet was very bad as well. So it's very good. It's very good to have these situations beforehand.
Yeah, so
So
as to
you're
practice, right? With the solar panels, your electric,
yeah.
your power setup working fine. So
It
it's
was
good
fine. There were
practice.
some mistakes, but nothing which is deadly. I mean, it can be corrected, and we
Mm,
saw where the problems are, because we have basically a double system. We are taking the power from the company, but as well we have our own batteries, and
yeah.
it switches automatically, but it didn't because there was a mistake, a short
Okay.
circuit. So it's very good to know actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good practice.
yeah,
Great.
exactly. So I was scared the internet would be bad today, but it seems to be perfect.
Yeah, it's stable enough. I don't think we'll have a problem. It's pretty stable from what I see now. Yeah,
That's great.
awesome. Okay, should we get started? Do you have anything you'd like me to share here on the screen or anything
Yeah, I
like
have
that?
some
Or
slides. I have some slides. I prepared some slides. Let me share them. Plus, at the end, I did a matrix of scenarios. Basically, we're gonna talk basically financial preparedness or economical preparedness, whatever you prefer to call it.
yeah, nice.
And yeah, I think it's interesting for your audience, like to
Mm,
see we're basically heading a big crisis. I don't know what people think, but we're hitting.
yeah, I think we all
So
agree on that. Yes, I think pretty much everyone here has an eye on everything going on. So yes, I think you're talking to like-minded people. So don't worry here.
that's perfect. Yeah, some things may sound crazy. It happened to me before, and people
Mm.
said I'm kind of nutty, but I don't care. Better to be prepared than to be called crazy, right?
Yes.
So that's basically, I prefer to be considered crazy by some people than to be hit by the storm.
Yeah,
Actually,
absolutely.
considered crazy by some. Let me take off the sound here. Okay, perfect. So yes, just because I want to read the chat, just in case. Okay, basically we're living in the era, I would call it the era of uncertainty. We don't know really what's going to happen, how it's going to unfold. But we are certain we are in a fourth turning. I don't know if you read the book. It's a fantastic
Yeah.
book by two American historians, and you should read it actually. And we are really starting the fourth turning in my view. It really started in March 2020. This was actually the beginning of the fourth turning. Before we were in the autumn, and now we're starting the cold winter. So
Mm.
Lula Bolsonaro, what is it? I'm reading here. It's
Uh,
50-50.
yeah, the
Wow.
vote in Brazil. That's gonna
I
be
know.
if it's very close, they will steal it from him. They will steal that election from Bolsonaro if he even gives them half a chance.
it's
Yeah.
it's a very important it's a very important election,
Yeah.
so we will see. It's an important country actually.
Mm.
So, and we are also starting the fourth industrial revolution, which is basically a technological revolution, but it's different to the other technological revolutions. And the point is, in my view, we are heading a big storm because there are three things which are not running well. The first one is the monetary system, which is not the financial system. We have a monetary system in the West, actually in the whole world, China as well, and Russia and other countries, which is based on debt. We're printing debt in order to grow. And this is coming to an end. I mean, the dollar, the fiat currency, the dollar, the euro, the pound, based on debt printing, it's coming to an end. The next problem we have is we had peak oil, and we can discuss very largely on this, but basically we have the cheap energy is finished, and we'll be having problems in this arena, a very big one. And the third one is a geopolitical crisis. It's the end of the unipolar world, the time since 1989 where America could say you have to go this way or the other way. There is other countries and other parts of the world which are defying this system, and we are entering a multipolar world, and there's a big geopolitical crisis. So if you add up all these three things, basically energy problems, monetary, financial, big problems, and the problem of geopolitics, we could enter sooner or later into a shit in the fan event, which nobody knows which it could be. It could be, they're talking now about this, how do you call it in English? These nuclear bombs, but which are dirty bombs. No, it could be a dirty bomb coming from Ukraine.
About that dirty bomb thing, it's the range they have, because sometimes people think that a dirty bomb is just as bad as an actual tactical nuclear device. The tactical nuke is a lot more powerful. A dirty bomb is more about contaminating a very small area, and even though it could, I mean, at this point, anything could happen. We're talking about one of the more unstable periods of time. But the thing is, a tactical nuke, you're using it very close to the country that you're fighting, so it could end up backfiring. The dirty bomb is not nearly as effective. So yes.
But it could be just detonating a financial crisis. I mean, the stock market now, it's doing well last week. But if we had a dirty bomb, I'm using it just like it could be the turning point.
Like a trigger.
Everything is intentional. I believe the same. I mean, remember the names he says over here. Yeah, no quarter. But the problem is we need to overcome those situations that are from the economical preparedness viewpoint. And we need to be prepared. That's the first thing we need to do. Okay, I brought here some figures, some graphs. First, for the first point, which is the massive debt. We have here, for example, on the left side, this little bit, this is a few billions, was creating this little gray zone in Germany. Basically, with 27 billions of cheap gas from Russia, you were producing, I don't know how many trillions of products that were exported. This is finished. The cheap gas from Russia is finished. So Germany will have massive problems in the industry. And here we have the European Central Bank, but the Fed looks the same, actually, the graph, the balance sheet. And especially since the COVID moment or whatever, we printed more than 30-50% of all the dollars and all the euros of all history.
Yeah, kind of that would be this point. This point right here would be that bend in the curve. That's the point in which with COVID, where they started printing money.
2020. That's March 2020. The handouts, the checks, which were actually given by both governments. So it's not partisan colored. So we have all these factors, right? End of cheap money, no new industries where you can invest. So it's the demand crash is amazing now. I mean, a lot of companies are starting to close because the energy is too expensive, not only in Europe, as well in America. And the supply chain is much more expensive due to geopolitics. It's more complicated to import internationally. So if you add this all up, I brought here a graph from the International Monetary Fund, what the debt is worldwide, basically. And it's three colors. It's the total debt, the families, as well as the corporate debt. I mean, there is no way back.
Yeah.
So they're asking what is Matt. I have no idea. You have to ask Fernando if he's sailing or not.
Yeah, I don't know if he's sailing or not. I have no idea what Matt is doing right now.
So my guess is the goal is to get to a centralized economy. They want to centralize all economy. There is a very old debate in the 1920s between the more liberal economists, Friedrich Hayek, Ludwig von Mises, the Austrian school, and the more Marxist Keynesian economists. And basically they said why socialism was not a good idea. And one of the arguments was that you could never have a perfect and complete data about what people spend their money in and what they do. And basically now with technology, you could theoretically have all the data in real time, what everybody is doing, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not favoring this. I'm only saying that there's a very old debate about this. And yeah, we will talk about this. Buying stocks and bonds, I would be totally out of the stock market. Maybe for the next 2-3 months, the stock market is going to have a bullish recovery. But in the long term, if we're looking at 2023, I would be definitely out of stocks. Maybe till December, it's a good idea to buy certain stocks. But after December, I would be out of the market. Okay, so this debate has been for a very long time, but proof of the matter, basically, it's a fight between liberal ideas, freedom ideas, you know, liberalism actually, not in political terms, in economical terms, and the ideas of centralization. And here we have several pictures of Cuba, Soviet Union, Venezuela, and communism has brought 120 million deaths, and people should know it very clearly. And every intent to centralize economy has run very badly. And I don't care how much technology you have in order to centralize everything. Yeah, the CBDC here, Conscious Movie, is talking about it. Yeah, it's going in this direction. I mean, Biden did in 2021, I don't remember the date, it was in March 21, he made an executive order, and it's going in this direction. It's very clear. I should find it maybe for another program. Basically, I would say we're going in the direction of technocracy. And technocracy is this is the gentleman, Klaus Schwab. Probably he's the director of the Davos Forum. And basically, this movement was very strong actually in America at the beginning of the 20th century. And it's more than a technological movement, it's an ideology. It has many elements of communism and totally against freedom. And we're going in this direction. We're going in the direction of, that's where they want us to go, actually, of a centralized computer with a strong AI, meaning an artificial intelligence, not a weak AI, and that will take all decisions for you: who to date, who to marry, everything, where to work, and most and foremost based on your carbon footprint. That's my guess. And for that, they need transhumanism. For that, they need that people are connected to the cloud. And I believe many people will be willing to do that.
Yeah. We talked about this last time when we did the live stream in the Spanish channel, how we're very close to that. The idea of people living online all the time, it's very close. The idea of just watching YouTube or watching internet all day long to being just connected there all the time. And I think that the guy from the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, with the meta thing that he was doing, it's not doing all that well. But I think there's already a technology for him to do something that could be a lot more effective. Eventually, they will get it right, and they will get everyone hooked to a meta universe, like in Ready Player One, that movie, which is based on a book. I think it's very likely to happen.
Yeah, well, it could be also the new Elon Musk about Twitter, and he's talking about X, the new social media, which can actually gather all these things together, and it could go in this direction. But basically, I think technologically we're not that far from it. But that's the direction it's taking. It's everything which goes in the direction of centralization and CBDCs. It's very dangerous, but because that's not real money, that's programmable money, and people. If you watch the videos by the director of the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland, which was actually the finance minister of Mexico, Carstens, and is now the director of the BIS, it's very dangerous because it's a new form of money. First of all, they know everything you do, when you do it, how you do it. They can basically couple it to social credit scoring. If you say good stuff about the government, you can use your money. If you talk
like
shit
in China,
about the government,
basically like they do already in China.
Yeah, and it's programmable money. You cannot save it. Like they will say, okay, you get paid whatever for your job, and you get, I don't know, $3,000 but this $1,000 you need to spend within the first 3 months, for example, and you can spend them only on traveling and only in this kind of companies. It's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. So when we talk about economical preparedness, we need to prepare also for these possibilities. Like people would say, okay, yeah, there would be a revolt before. Maybe not. Maybe not.
No.
And maybe we'll be faced with a world of total control, financial control. And for that, you need to be prepared. And there is many ways you can prepare. I mean, there is not just only one way. So that's why we should talk first about I prepared an Excel with possible scenarios, and we can discuss them. I mean, there's probably more scenarios, but I just reduce it to 4 scenarios, and here it is. The first scenario, I made it regional, like it could be whether it's a collapse of the euro or the breaking apart of the American Union. And I think it has a very little probability. We will discuss it now. The second scenario is an hyperinflation. They keep printing money.
Yeah.
The third scenario is the big confiscation. They don't keep printing money. They raise basically the interest rates to the ceiling, and the central banks can default. It sounds crazy, I know that. And then they will need money from the taxpayers back, from the treasuries. So they will start creating new taxes and confiscating the property.
Yeah.
And the third one
was
is
it Lenin? Pablo, was it Lenin that said that to destroy the middle class, you have to smash them between inflation and taxation?
Yeah, it was Lenin. Yeah. So, and the fourth one is the financial collapse, the total financial collapse and collapse of institutions. So if you want, we can go over this matrix of scenarios, and as well with the audience. It should be like we're reading the chat, and we can discuss how probable everything is or not. What can we do in all scenarios, as you see on the right, buying gold and silver? When I say out of the system, what I mean basically is not to have it in the banking in the bank. It should be always physical gold, physical silver, never in a bank, not even in a vault of a bank. It should be totally out of the system. And even out of the tax office, if you manage. I mean, you need to be smart in this regard. In some cases, even out of your country, because of the great confiscation. I mean, you need to start basically hiding your assets. You need to start to hide your assets.
There was a problem. There were several cases of people that bought gold and silver thinking that it was being kept in vaults. And then when they asked for it, the money was not there. The gold and silver was not there. So many times people have this idea of, oh, I trust this guy, or I saw this guy, or I follow him on YouTube, and they follow the links that they suggest. And they sell the idea of, yes, you're buying gold and silver and it's being kept for you in a vault in Switzerland. And there's no money in Switzerland. There's just the IOUs. And when people start asking for the money, the gold that they thought they have, the gold was not there. So always physical, always in hand.
This is totally true. I know cases, actually close cases. They had gold in Switzerland, and when they wanted to get it back, they said it's in a big bar. In a very big bar. I don't know how many kilograms of gold, and it was very expensive to break up because it was not in ounces. Basically, it was in a big bar. So you need to be very careful to make these buys. It shouldn't be online. It should not be traceable. It's a bit complicated what I'm saying here.
We get it. We understand.
You get it. When we talk out of the system, it's completely out of the system and completely physical. Right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not doing it right. And people ask me, what about Bitcoin? Well, I prefer gold and silver. I have a bit of Bitcoin, but I'm more long on gold and silver. Yeah. Not that I'm against Bitcoin, but I think Bitcoin, you are still on the ledger. You're still traceable, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about the scenario number 3, it's all about being traceable or not. And I think this is the most probable scenario, and I call it the big confiscation. They're going after your property. And this sooner or later in 2023, 24, 25, we will see that starting. Actually, it's starting already in Europe and in America also with new taxes. So let's go for the first scenario, which is it's quite improbable. I don't believe the euro will break up at this point. It's not interesting to the elites. I mean, they already managed to get these countries together. People were scared in Italy that they would leave the union. This is not going to be the case.
No.
The new lady is very much in favor for NATO and very much in favor for the
Yeah.
euro. The northern countries, some people talked, yeah, Germany, Finland could leave. That's not going to happen either.
No.
Because Germany printed the other day, they need 200,000 million in basically in bonds.
Germany would never leave, no.
No, never. They need now to print money like crazy, and they are not buying the debt, so they need the other countries to print money. Yeah. Poland and Hungary, that could be more probable because Poland is more associated with America, but still, I don't believe that's going to happen. The most probable, I would have never thought this 1 year ago, is that the German-French axis starts breaking up. Why? Because of energy problems. I mean, we had a lot of issues in Europe because Macron didn't want to have the gas going from Spain to Germany because Spain has a lot of gas facilities, and this could be a possible scenario. You know, energy tensions between the countries. In the European Central Bank, there is no hawks anymore. They are all for printing money, even the Germans. So I don't really see a breakup of the euro as a possibility. It's less than 1%. It can change. Maybe in half a year, we'll be having another conversation. In this case, what are the consequences? The consequence is the immediate devaluation of your currency, in this case, the euro, and your debt would be double because you would be denominated in Deutschmark or you would be denominated in Italian liras or whatever, back or French franc, and you would have to pay your all debts in euros. That would be really dramatic. So what is economical preparedness for this scenario? You need to reduce your debts as much as possible. You know, if you hold cash in dollars out of Europe, it could help for the transition period. Mm-hmm. But I think Swiss francs is a very bad choice because people say, what about if I put it in Swiss francs? You need to know that the Swiss National Bank did a very bad policy and they bought actually American corporate bonds and all kinds of things. So it's a national bank which has done very strange things, and I don't think the Swiss francs is really a place to. Switzerland is one thing, and the Swiss franc is another thing. So that would be a very bad choice. In America,
let me ask you, Pablo. Let me ask you one thing, because since we're talking about gold and silver, I have a comment here that addresses that. When there's when economies collapse, gold and silver will have street value. Pablo, how can you trust that and know how to trade it? So how would you end up trading? I mean, all of this went down. You had your gold and silver. How do you buy, sell, trade with your gold and silver after a collapse? How do you know who you can trust?
You converted back into hard assets right after the collapse, but you need to be in gray. You cannot tell everybody, I have so many ounces, or I have so much gold, I have so many bars. You need to be extremely careful. And what are you buying? You're buying real estate back. You're buying land. That's what I would do. I would buy land back. I mean, farming land, actually, which is one of the things which are in the three scenarios. Farming land is one of the big things. Not necessarily in America. It could be Argentina, perfect place. I mean, not now, but in the future, right? Or it could be anywhere in Latam if you're American. I don't know. The audience is mostly, I guess, American, some British people here, some Latinos I saw. I don't know. It depends where you're located. But if you are basically in America, what you need to do is you need to have one foot out of America because you don't know what's coming there, and you need to be international. You need to be able to emigrate depending on the different scenarios, like, for example, hyperinflation, which is not a crazy thing to talk about. We'll be talking about this next scenario, and that has a 49% probability. That's a very high probability. An acre for an ounce of silver. It would be fair. Actually, silver, if you take all the debt, all the trillions of dollars that have been printed, which is I showed in the graph before by the IMF, and basically, guys, think one thing. Why Kazakhstan, Russia, Turkey, China have been buying gold over the last 15 years? Like there is no tomorrow. Even shitty, small countries, not shitty, like Uzbekistan has been increasing their gold reserves. Even Hungary, which is in Europe, has been increasing the gold reserves. They probably, everything when there is a collapse will be there will be a new redenomination, a new setup like in Bretton Woods. And it's coming this way, and gold and silver will have the real value. The only problem is, like Roosevelt did, it probably will be forbidden in the States. You'll be having gold and silver will be like having heroin today. And
could be illegal again. I mean, it happened before. It could happen
heroin.
again.
Heroin will be legal, but gold and silver will be completely illegal.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Yeah.
So you need to be sneaky. I mean, you need to be able to take it out of the country. Portugal is a great country, Jill. It's very backwards in some regards. It's a good place. It's cheap. Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, you need to be able to consider that this gold and silver will be completely legal. It will be prison. In America, it was from 1933 till 1971. It was prison, right? Only if you had certain coins which were actually collector's value. You need to learn about it. It's not so easy. Yeah, it will come for it, Lebowski, if you didn't hide it before. What makes no sense is you buy with a credit card in a website and put your data. That makes absolutely no sense. That's when we talk to buy it out of the system, it's very clear what we mean by that. And
yeah,
we need
go to the actual store.
Exactly. It must be an anonymous buy, right? And you must do it smartly, and you must keep it completely unknown. That's the only way you can really protect your assets. But it will be illegal at some point. I'm certain in the West. It will be completely illegal as well, probably in Europe as well. So I don't know. If you're in Southern Europe, you probably need to drive it to Morocco to get it back into dollars. Yeah, things like that. Just be prepared for any possible situation, and that's why they say the means to reintroduce it. It makes no sense. You have a lot of ounces, and you have a lot of gold and silver, whatever, and you don't have the means to reintroduce it to the system. There will be ways to bring it back to the system. There will be people who will accept it for whatever, selling you their land or selling you their houses or whatever.
Or a car or anything you need.
Or a car or whatever, yeah. Or your life. Yeah. All over in history, when the people left Vietnam, they were bringing gold in the jackets, right? Diamonds, the same thing. So I think in all four scenarios, there's nothing wrong with having, that's why I put it in yellow, with having gold and silver out of the system. And you must do all the steps, and you must have the means to reintroduce it to the system. You must make connections, I don't know, in Telegram, whatever, people who will buy the silver back if needed. That's the point. Okay, let's go. The second scenario, I see it also very improbable, which is basically the same thing that the European Union breaks up, America breaks up. It's not impossible. It's less than a 5% chance, but
I would give it more than 5%.
Really?
I would give it. Yeah, I think, and let me know, guys, there in the comments. I think that the possibility of the United States breaking up is, I would give it more than 5%. I would give it like 15 to 20 probably. And some here would maybe give it more, because there's a lot of polarized opinions, and the states are becoming very different. Like, I mean, and we've talked with Matt about this all the time. In places like Florida and Texas, these states are almost like trying to be like their own countries, while in others, like in California, they're becoming enemies almost. So it's not unlikely to see a breaking of the United States. It's
I believe it's less interesting for the elite if we consider there is really a hidden hand behind all of this, what's happening. And
that's true. That's true.
We have become even more aware, of course, since 9/11 and all these things, which we cannot mention, just in case somebody has a court case against us. There's not, whatever. But I think the chances are smaller. I believe there is more chances that we go into the big confiscation. I will explain in the third scenario, because that's the most convenient. The most convenient thing is centralization. If you have real estate, I will confiscate it from you because you cannot pay the new tax. And basically, these new taxes will be creating to help the poor, and we will divide society. But let me get to this point. I have first to explain the second scenario,
go ahead.
Which is hyperinflation. But basically, if the US breaks up, we'll have political tensions, military upheavals, riots. The dollar will crash completely. You don't want to be long in dollars, right? In this case, you want So
Mm.
so of course to have guns, to have farms, if in the case of the breakup you should be out of the big cities. That's always the
Mm.
recommendation. Don't be close to a city which is 100,000 people or more. You should be quite far from big centers and quite isolated. You should have both legs, like one you do your normal life, and 40%
Yeah.
of the time you should dedicate, as the world is today, you should dedicate for prepping actually. So
Mm.
second scenario is hyperinflation. How could it happen? Basically, now we are in QT. We are taking the funds out of the liquidity out of the system. We're draining the system. But
Yeah.
if there comes a too big to fail event, we had several now. It happened now in Britain, right, with the pension
Mm.
funds. They bucked off. It happened with the biggest Norway, the biggest oil producer of Norway had almost a margin call. It happened with Evergrande in China. It happened with Credit Suisse in Europe. In those cases, I believe they will stop making quantitative tapering, and they will print again. Basically, that's what
Mm.
happened in UK last week. They were
Yeah.
so scared, the British Central Bank, and they were so scared about Liz Truss politics and ideas, which were kind of crazy anyway. But there were some good ideas also, and they
Mm.
didn't let her act, and she was dismissed. And they were so scared of a big fail, like a too big to fail, whatever, some pension fund or
Yeah.
something big. So they went back to printing. Actually, you may call it whatever you want, but
Yes.
when we get back to printing, we will
Mm.
end up in hyperinflation, and it will end up. I mean, Fernando can tell you better. We'll end up like Argentina or Zimbabwe, and that's very probable. That's very
Yeah.
probable in America and in Europe, that they get scared, that they're trying to drain the system of liquidity. In this case, we'll have a massive devaluation. Your dollar will have no value. Everybody will be
Yeah.
pouring away, and
And
that's
that's
a
where gold and silver and land, all of that
yeah,
becomes super valuable, because
yeah.
that's the only hard asset. Look, the Brom39 thanks there for a super chat. He's asking about timelines. How much time do you think is likely for these scenarios? When would you see? I mean, if it ends up happening, and I like that you
2023 to 2025, the next 3
soon.
years, not
So
longer.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I would add today. I prepared. I told Fernando only about economic preparedness, but if we add up the geopolitical tensions, it could be even earlier. I mean, it could be in February. Whenever Putin doesn't manage to win the war on conventional
Hmm.
means, there
Yeah,
may be the unconventional means, and it's not only the radiation and all of that, which also it's the main problem is it will collapse. It will make a major harm in the economy, in the stock market. I
let
mean,
me
if
ask you about that, because I know that you know, you have contacts in people that the contacts with people from Russia and that sort of thing, so you have a different
yeah,
perspective. Do you think it's likely that he will end up using nuclear weapons, or do you see that as
very
unlikely?
likely because Putin. The problem is once he opened Pandora's box, like recently
Mm,
Sobchak, which was actually the daughter of Sobchak, he was actually the father of Putin, the political father of Putin. She left last week Russia, and it's very and she's the niece of Putin. Actually, she's the niece
mm,
of Putin, and it has been a very big in the, I would say, in Telegram, of course not in the official media. And Putin is in between two waters, because there are some people like the director of the Russian central bank, which is more liberal, or the mayor of Moscow, which didn't want the war, although they don't
mm.
say it. And then there is the crazy, I would say, more pro-military people like Kadyrov or Wagner,
Yeah,
and they're totally for nuclear weapons.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of people in the Duma, in the national parliament, they're talking about it. And I would say there is a big chance that this event could happen, a
Mm,
minor nuclear weapon being detonated in Ukraine. And then the Russians will put it on the Ukrainians or on the British or on whomever. Now they're saying
yeah,
that Nord Stream was done by the British, which I don't think it's so crazy. It could be actually. And then they have the right to use their own weapons if this
hmm,
happens. And then we have a major problem in the Western stock markets. If
yeah,
this happens, then we will have really a major correction. And it's all related, actually. You couldn't say, oh yeah, the war is unrelated to economy. It's totally related, So I would say
Yes, it will.
2023 is a very important year. And I would say before spring, we should see in spring 23, where are we sitting actually with the stock market? Did it recover? Did it not? Because now, we corrected at 20%. It's not that much, but it's not clear the stock market will really recover. So it's all related. I would say this situation of the war is more important than we believe.
Now, at the same time, let me ask you this, because at the same time, war is good business for the elites, which is maybe one of the reasons why they don't shy away from it. That's something we all agree on, that they make money with this. All of these guys, I mean, just like the pandemic was ending, which was yet another great business for them, because they did much. And one of the things I noticed that people don't quite realize, even before the war started, we already had this economic problem because of I mean, this is just smoke screen, because the economic problem was already in place because of all the insane spending and printing that they did during those 2 years. During these 2 years, they destroyed small businesses. They printed money through the roof. So inflation was inevitable at that point. So we're just paying for the party now that was done for the last 2 years by the elite. The transfer of wealth, you have to pay it now. So they took the money. Now everyone has to pay for it, right?
Yeah. He says conscious movie that he trades S&P 500, and I also believe it's going to be a bull run. It's going to be an incredible bull run till December, but it's probably the last bull run. If you want to trade it. I mean, if you're a good trader, I'm personally an algo trader, and you can check our channel in English, the FX Method. We do algorithms in the forex markets, but also in indices. That's my profession. I mean, I come from trading actually, but I'm as well a professional prepper. I would say I've become in the last 3 years a professional prepper. I don't know anymore if I'm more of a trader or of a prepper actually. But the point here is that in case of hyperinflation, you need to have real assets, and I would say it's better today to buy, I don't know, solar panels, things of real value, an axe or whatever, or machinery, which is very important for you to produce and to get real value for something from a farmland. The moment to buy this is now actually, because your dollars will pay much more than in 2-3 years. That's for certain.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure. Anything you plan on buying.
Anything you plan on buying, even if you don't plan it, if you consider it. Like my wife is talking, let's buy an electric car, a small car for me. And I think, probably now is the moment, right? Because we have in both houses, we have actually 3 houses, but in 2 houses we have already solar panels and batteries. We are autonomous, and it would be a good idea to have an electric car, even if it's one of the 2 cars, because probably we'll have a lot of problems with diesel in Europe, actually. So buy everything, make a list of things that you would consider are important for you to have, machinery, armory, whatever you considered buying in the past and you never bought because for whatever reason. And consider your dollars have more value than tomorrow. So this is an important move. Okay, the third scenario, which is for me the most probable, I call it the big confiscation. Basically, it's they keep hiking the rates, both the Fed and the European Central Bank, till they go bankrupt, or so to say. Well, a central bank can never really go bankrupt, but the balance sheet can be negative. And they will ask for the Treasury Department to give the money back. And the government will take the money from whom? From the people. Yes, basically, always, they will, but it will be a major confiscation. There will be an hyper-taxation. There will be really an inflation of new taxes. The Biden government or whatever, they will invent new taxes, tax on breathing, tax on whatever, on driving, tax on whatever.
Inflation in itself is a form of taxation. So the more inflation you see, I mean, it's directly linked to it. So the more inflation that they manage to pull, the more money that they end up getting out of your back.
Totally. Carbon tax, they're mentioning here in the chat. Totally. I know for some people it's difficult. I know some people are saying in the chat it's difficult to buy. I know some people live paycheck to paycheck. and it's very, very difficult. But I tell people, you know, a silver coin costs around $30, right? In the normal market, and Silver Eagle or whatever other, it could be Philharmonicas or Maple Leafs. They're very nice coins,
Yeah.
and I think everybody can afford a coin of $30. I would say at least once per week, buy your silver coins. That's what, $100 per month. I mean, you should have
How
this
far do you think? How high do you think silver and gold will get? I mean, I remember at that point we saw it at $40, but that's gonna be, nothing compared to
silver
what
can
we'll
get
see.
easily to $200-$300 per ounce easily, and gold could get up to I don't know $20,000, $50,000. It depends on the level of how the economy is, because basically now it's being manipulated, the gold price and the silver price, and the COMEX in London it has less and less ounces. This story will end up in the next 2 years there will be no ounces. It's done in the futures market. It's a complete manipulation of the price. But at some point we'll have the real price of things, and the real price is the dollar goes down and the euro, although the dollar is very strong now, but the dollar will get to the real value of the dollar and gold will go to the real value. Yes. He says, conscious movie reviews. You don't want to live in a world where silver is 200. Yeah, it's a very dangerous time. I agree.
It will be dangerous, yes.
It will be
For
dangerous
sure.
no matter what. I mean, conscious movie. I mean, it's heading in this direction. I mean, you need to prepare. I mean, what can you do? I mean, you cannot. The government is doing what it's doing.
Yeah.
The governments before did what they did, and you need to face it, man. I mean,
yeah. I was just reading today from Argentina about this man that was. Well, people can look it up, but they just killed a man in Argentina that he was one of the big shots, one of the richest. I think he's like Fortune 500 or a man called Blaquier. Blaquier. So Andrés Blaquier. You guys can look the. Andrés Blaquier was one of the largest landowners in the country, thousands and thousands of acres, and Fortune 500 type of guy, and he was riding his bike. He got shot going between his properties, going between his farms, in his motorcycle in a carjacking attempt or in a motorcycle jack attempt. Someone tried to steal his nice BMW motorcycle in the middle of the field, in the middle of nowhere, and they shot him and they killed him. So I see this happening more and more. It will become very dangerous everywhere, even in the middle of the country, like this man was. A multi billionaire that was gunned down when going from farm to farm. This will be the reality for people.
This would be the reality. Renovation says, I can't afford to buy gold and silver. Come on, $20, $30 you didn't have? You have. 25 cents, that's very cheap, the can of beans. It's much more expensive. I'm located actually in Southern Europe. That's very cheap. So buy more cans of beans. And I mean, that's a good solution as well. I mean, but it's good to have the coins of silver with actually known coins like Maple Leaf or Eagles.
Known denominations, yes.
With denomination, because you can exchange them easily. Imagine you need to pay somebody for whatever, or you need to buy some rice, or you're missing something, or some ammo. I don't know.
and something for your farm, or or even some work being done. Some work being done.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, everybody can afford that. I mean, everybody can afford. I have here some coins. I can
hey, thanks, Knockface. Knockface always supports the channel. Thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. He says great conversation. Nice.
That's
man.
great. That's great.
Yeah,
I think all fiat currencies. Brom is asking here, the US dollar would survive. No, I don't think. I don't think any fiat currency would survive. What is coming? There's coming a major change in the monetary system. The question is whether the BRICS countries like China, Russia, Brazil, whatever, they're talking already to make a new currency based on gold and silver, but not only based on petrol.
It's very interesting. They're talking about having, the BRICS are talking about, and I don't know if they're closer than we're being led to believe by the Western media.
They're
we are
far
the
away.
West.
They're far away. the thing is they don't trust each other. When people think that China and Russia are so close to each other, China
Yeah,
and
they're
Russia
not,
have
no.
hated each other for centuries, and
Mm.
Russia is massively big, and China is massively overpopulated. I mean, and the logic is like we could take those acres
Chinese.
close to China. Yeah, the Chinese could invade Russia. So basically, they don't trust each other so much. Of course, they are
Mm.
allies against America, but in terms of trading with each other, there's not so much trust. So that's why they maybe denominate a new currency, which will be a CBDC. Basically, it will be a cryptocurrency, but it will be a blockchain, but a state blockchain, not a
Yeah, they
private.
control. Yes. Mm.
Yeah, they will have the control, and it will be it become. So I don't think it's a good time for the West. I think it's the end of the Western empire. I mean, whether American, European, it's a bad time for us, we Westerners. So we better prepare in all possible directions. And as you see here, you have 4 different scenarios, and in all of them, gold and silver is a good idea. Producing farms is a good idea. Hiding whatever you have is a good idea. Buying things of real value, like I don't know, like machinery or whatever.
Yeah,
Is a
tools,
good idea.
anything that you need. Now, one
Tools.
of the things I caution people about is even though I fully agree with getting what you need now, if you're thinking of, okay, I'll buy like 100 knives or 100 hammers because that's gonna be worth its weight in gold, you're better off having the gold and the silver rather than just having the tool specifically, which will be valuable, no doubt, but it won't be as easily trade as a precious metal. I think that the precious metal is a lot more stable as a currency rather than a good you expect to barter in a post collapse scenario, right? What do you think?
You need to have everything. I mean, we yesterday when we had the blackout, actually, we
Mm.
bought a lot of candles, my wife and me. Although we thought we don't need them because we have solar panels, we have battery, we have backup systems, and still we needed the
You
candles.
need it.
And
Mm.
yeah, and you think it's crazy, but what? Well, if you spend I don't know a couple of $100 in candles, so you have for several years, and you have a bad time where you don't have energy, it helps,
Yeah.
and this is barterable. Another thing, batteries.
Mm.
Things you wouldn't think are so necessary. But yesterday, we have a guy here doing some work, painting and fixing, and the guy couldn't work. So it was good
Mm.
that we had the batteries, so he could keep working. And you wouldn't think it. And battery can be of real value. Yes, all kinds of the small batteries. I don't AAA whatever. So you have all kinds of batteries and that you would use, and all these kind of things that you alcohol. I don't know, cotton.
Yeah.
All these kind of things. You need to make a very long list. I don't know,
Mm.
vinegar. Vinegar is very, very useful in order to keep food.
Yeah.
And imagine you don't find it easily, and you have, I don't know, several liters of vinegar, and you get
Salt.
hold of salt,
A
sugar.
few tons of salt and sugar. Yes.
Yeah, vinegar. And these things are actually very cheap today, and they can yeah, copper, exactly. This you need to make a very long list. It's not only about food. I mean, food, of course, is the first thing. I would say
Mm.
you should have at least 6 months of food worth. Vodka, very
Yeah.
important. Alcohol, very important. That's very tradable. I mean, all kinds of. We're making now a wine cellar, because
Mm.
my wife is into wines, and basically we have rules for that, and we can lock it. And you never know. You can buy very cheap wine in Southern Europe, and it can be very valuable in, I don't know, in 4 or 5 years. Okay,
Yeah.
so financial collapse is the last scene, the last scenario, and people, preppers already think it's all gonna end up very soon into a Mad Max, like the movie.
Mm.
But I don't think that's for the moment quite
Mm.
improbable. And you need to go before into the former scenarios in order to end up in a financial collapse. You need to have the big confiscation, or you need to have the
Yeah.
hyperinflation, or you need to have the breakup of the US or of Europe. And once you see the
Mm.
steps, you can go into the big financial collapse. But the other scenarios must set in first.
Mm-hmm.
And so you should consider this. And of course, in this case, you need to hide everything from thefts. I mean, the major enemies are your neighbors, and
Yeah.
you need to be completely in gray because people talking here in the chat, yeah, and then I shoot my gun, so on. So it's not going to help you. Really, I mean, it's better you are totally invisible. I mean, try not to use anything unless there is no other chance, right? I mean, what I consider is any preppers just watch all kinds of movies, right? And we go into this mindset of Hollywood, right? Like everything is going to be like in the movies, and it's probably not going to be absolutely related to that, and it's going to be a completely different scenario. But definitely in the case of financial collapse, you should never be in big cities. This is the major point here. You should be totally out. I was talking to another guy, another YouTuber, and he says, well, I'm in the outskirts. And I said, and how many people live there? 120,000. I said, yeah, you're in the outskirts. It doesn't matter. I said, oh, no, come on, but they're not going to come here the road. Yeah, that's typical. No, today everybody has a movie or a TV series, right? And that's how everything is going to unfold. And basically not, you know. There is a very good American movie of the 1970s, which I've watched many times, and you should watch, actually. It's called in Spanish Cosecha Mortal. I don't know the title in English. I should find it for you.
Deadly Harvest, like something like that, is
Deadly Harvest, yeah. It's a movie of the 1970s, and basically what happens is they have two bad harvests. And worldwide, whatever, in America, it's an American movie, typical 1970s movies, low budget movie, very nice movie. And basically they steal a cow, but the problem is they don't have cars to move around, the people that steal. It's very interesting. You should watch it. And then it's the farmers against the people from the city. I don't want to tell you the whole movie, but you should really watch it. And basically this could happen. I mean, we had a bad harvest last year, and a lot of fertilizers that were coming from Ukraine and Russia didn't come out. And probably next harvest, if the next year is going to be a bad harvest, I mean, we already have these problems in Lebanon and Sri Lanka, that there were food shortages. You know?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and Monsanto and many of these globalist companies that they want to force people into buying their pesticides and their seeds, and they sue farmers if they even find one of their seeds in their fields. The agricultural aspect is very much controlled by the elite as well.
Yeah. So interesting what Conscious is saying. The IRS is likely to impose a tax, $5,000 per gun. Yeah, that's what I mean about the big confiscation, the new ideas, the new taxes. So in the case of the third scenario, you need to be very, very able to hide everything. Basically, I mean, we are not saying here to do illegal things.
No, of course not. But be smart and be cautious with what you show and what you don't show, basically.
Exactly, and be able to be prepared to hide things from the plain sight, and be prepared to buy things in another way, right? So they're not visible and they're not taxable. Yeah, it's very difficult. I know we have been all these years being good citizens and paying taxes and all of that, but it's new play rules, guys. You know?
Yeah, and the confiscation of guns. It's did you see what happened in Canada? Trudeau just banned buying and selling handguns in Canada. I mean, he just said, "Oh, there it goes." So they could either have a task force going after people based on the amount of guns that they have, because all of a sudden, if you have more than 5 guns or more than 2 guns, your threat to the country or whatever nonsense they come up with. If you have more than X amount of ammunition, you're in their list as well. They can just make up stuff as they go. It wouldn't be the first time. So be smart about keeping all of that out of plain sight. And buying stuff with your credit card, that just leaves a huge list behind with, this man owns 50,000 rounds of ammunition. He bought 10,000 rounds here and there. Be clever.
Cash is king, guys. As long as we have cash and you can use it. I mean, for example, in Spain, you can only use 1,000 euros of cash between companies and private people. I don't care. I mean, I have friends that have bought a house with cash, a full house. So be smart. Stop using credit cards. Stop leaving traces, right? And start Yeah, the spreadsheet, I need to improve it. That's only the first version. I didn't put the depression. I didn't put other scenarios. You can take a screenshot, not a problem, right? And it will be developed. I want to improve it.
And you can open it up. You can open it up fully, and you can read it a lot better if you go full screen, guys. If you go full screen, everything is visible.
Plus, you can put in YouTube to HD. If you go to the knob here and in your settings and you put quality to HD, you will see the Excel in much better. You'll read it perfectly. Okay, so the last scenario is something that can happen. Is I would say it's a 20% chance. We are very, very much in very difficult times. That's a lot. That's 1 out of 5. It's a possibility, but be prepared for the other scenarios first. Be smart. If you have assets, if you have a lot of real estate, or if you have more than one house, and whatever, you have the house at the beach, or you have the house abroad, I would say it's time to have just not so much real estate. Still, the prices are very high. It's a very good moment for real estate. And I would say, unless it's a premium real estate, I would convert it into liquidity and start getting it out of the system.
Maybe an option could be, you were talking before about having a foot in and a foot out. Maybe liquidating one and buying in a bug out country, maybe something like that as a plan B.
Yeah, but not in your name. The problem is the IRS is very complicated in America with FATCA.
Yeah, in America, yes.
It has become, I mean, for Americans, it's even to open a broker account, it's all impossible.
Very difficult, yeah.
And Europe learned from FATCA and their IRS. It's really very, very difficult. But you need to have good advisors, and you need to do it the smart way. And there is actually the flag theory. I don't know if you heard it, that you play with different flags.
Like the seven flag, is it?
Yeah, or the 5 flags or 3 flags, whatever. Yes. It can be 2 flags. It can be one leg in Costa Rica, for example. There's a lot of Americans there, or 1 leg in Argentina and 1 leg in Florida. I don't know. It's better. 2 flags is better than 1, and 3 flags is even better, and 5 is even better. Whatever.
Yes,
you can get a passport. But it depends on the money you have, on the capital you have. I mean, not everybody can buy a passport, which costs a lot of money from another country, and whatever. But there is ways you can do things in your realm, depending on how much income or how many assets you have. You should already put apart the least is that you would have enough food for 6 months, that you really prepare. I mean, rice, for example, we were buying rice. It's in Europe, it's less than €1. Still very cheap. You can find rice for kilogram for 0.97 or €1, €1.10. It's still inexpensive. And I mean, a kilogram of rice.
You need to, store it. Learn how to store it properly. Learn how to store that the right way. What are you using for storing? Are you storing it like in pallets or?
No. We take actually those pet bottles. The water bottles, 6 liters.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how many gallons that is. A big bottle of water, basically, and you just put the rice there with how do you call it in laurel? And then you take the oxygen out with a little cotton on the top and wax it. And that way you don't have the oxygen process starting, and it can last 10, 20 years easily. For example, rice is a perfect thing. We can do another program about that. We have tuna bags. That's a new invention, which is incredible, which is 1 kilogram of tuna, which is incredible amount of proteins. You need to prepare your proteins because that's the most difficult thing to find. Probably rice and spaghetti and pasta you can find, but probably meat. I mean, there is a fight against meat. I mean, they don't want us to eat proper proteins.
Yes.
They want us to eat.
That is something that the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab specifically said that meat would be, in their 2030 presentation, that you'll own nothing and be happy. You remember that? The 2030 presentation from the World Economic Forum, they said you'll own nothing and be happy. You will. Well, he said.
I remember.
You will only eat meat like very rarely and very special occasions. There will be like a special treat. So you won't eat meat anymore as part of your frequent diet. That is scary stuff.
That's why you need to store meat. That's the point, exactly. You need to store meat, you need to store fish, you need to store good protein. And this, we could do another program if you want. I mean, we're working still on our storage. It's never enough. I mean, you need to prepare properly, have at least 6 months. I mean, in normal conditions, 3 months is more than enough till things get back to normal, right? But I would say now we don't have normal conditions. I would say the minimum is 6 months for storage, because you don't know really. It's also from the financial viewpoint. It's all Solvent Green is protein, all kinds of protein, but you need to diversify. I mean, also things you like to eat. I know, for example, we were storing, and my wife, me and my wife, we drink coffee. We drink quite a bit of coffee, and we started to store coffee in grain, because if it's already in grain, it keeps all the aromas, right? And we understood we can't live without coffee. This kind of things, right? Like you would never consider coffee so important, and a grinder, and having an extra grinder, which costs nothing but $10-15 a grinder of coffee. So you buy 2-3 grinders just in case it breaks up, right? These are stupid things you would never consider. We dehydrate a lot. I mean, before canning the meat, we've done all kinds of meat. We have done pork, we have done cow meat, good meat, cheap cow meat, all kinds. We did all type of tests over a year. And then we understood the best process. We basically, I can explain you another program, or my wife even can explain you. We found the best process for keeping meat was basically to keep it all the night in a mix of vinegar and parent sauce. I don't know if you know the parent sauce. It's a British sauce, which is very strong, which has soya and vinegar, malt vinegar. I can bring it to you next time. And you keep the meat in parents, and then the next day you dehydrate it for at least 6 hours in the dehydrator. And a dehydrator, you can buy it in Amazon for $200. It's quite inexpensive. You can make 15 kilograms each time. And 15 kilograms of meat dehydrated, you have the vinegar inside and plus the dehydration, and then you put it in cans, and you need to boil the cans above 120 degrees Celsius, and then you can keep it for 5 years. For 5 years, and we have tons of meat. We have done it. We have done chicken with curry, all kinds. We could do a program about that. Not a problem. And this is really inexpensive. I mean, you buy a dehydrator, you have the vinegar. You put it in your fridge, and then you can it. The cans are, I mean, we bought them for 60 cents. They're big cans of crystal, and you need to have a lot of cans.
Yeah,
it's
they
very valuable.
Those are the mason jars. Mason jars, the glass mason jars.
Yeah. We have different ones. They're imported from China here in Europe. Yeah, he's right. Innovation. You need treats. We bought actually from restaurants. I can show you all the kinds of I don't know, mousse de chocolat, mousse from vanilla. We bought all kinds. We made all kinds of experiment with you love with dehydrated milk and with powder milk, and it's fantastic. We do yogurt out of powder milk, and we do mousse de chocolat with powder milk, and this is like you mix it up. It's very easy to do. You don't spend much energy. And you need to break up the monotony. Yeah, I was telling my wife, I'm fed up with the rice, right? Like, because she likes very much the rice. We're storing a lot of rice, and I said we need to switch to other things. I don't stand so much rice every day, and we started doing other things, right? But it's very important that you start storing your food. This is crucial. Yeah.
That's a great point.
Conscious ask if I see cryptos breaking away from the stock market and fiat currency system. To be honest, I have a mixed emotion or mixed perception regarding cryptos. I like the technology, but there is some parts of cryptos which I find is like, I don't know, which are kind of shady for me. Like the algorithm of Bitcoin, the SHA-256, I don't know if you heard about it, was created by the NSA. And there is some things, and there's so much manipulation in the crypto market by big hedge funds and big banks like JP Morgan.
Well, they're buying a lot. They bought a lot.
Yeah.
So that's.
I wouldn't say it's a safe store of value. I have Bitcoin. In a cold wallet, and if you have cryptos, you need to have it out of the system. That would be a cold wallet out of an exchange. Don't buy. Ponzi.
Yes. The only thing is, be careful if you buy crypto.
Yeah,
Don't leave it. One of the big mistakes that there's two big mistakes that people make. They
yeah,
leave it in the wallet. They leave it in whatever website they bought it from. They leave it in
yeah,
the exchange, and then something happens and they lose it, or they put it somewhere and they lose it, because there's people that have lost, the key, the private key, so as to access it, and then it's
yeah.
lost. If you don't have the key, it's gone. You have no one to cry. That's one of the.
I would say don't put, if you have, I don't
Mm,
know, I would say for every, if you have $1,000 in gold, then you can have maybe $300 in cryptos. That would be the
right.
proportion, and not the other way around, because it's all generational. People say, yeah, because you're over 50, you don't understand cryptos. Sorry, I'm into technology. I do algo trading. I understand
Mm,
perfectly the blockchains. I understand the difference between Ethereum, proof of work, I understand everything. I've been with a lot of people in the crypto market. I know a lot of
mm,
people. I like the technology, but
mm.
I wouldn't put my money into it fully.
Yeah.
I want to store is like storing in real meat, like we've been talking, right? Keeping
Mm.
real meat or keeping, I don't know. It's completely different. When you keep your own meat in your own hand, or you can go to whatever
No, for
place.
sure. When you have something physical, I mean, you can't
Yeah,
beat physical, and
you
especially
can.
you can't beat something that has been around for thousands of years, like gold. I mean, gold and
Yeah,
silver has been around for thousands of years, and it's been proven that that's
yeah.
one of the more important aspects. It's been proven throughout history to have value for people, and it's in the culture of pretty much every country
Mhm.
that gold and silver are valuable. Now you're telling me that a crypto may be that way in 1,000 years. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to know for sure. I think it's interesting, and likely enough that I will put a little bit of it. I will bet some of it in it, just in case it
Yeah.
does work out being what they say it is. So don't go all on one. Just have your eggs in different
What
baskets.
I find ridiculous, there's, let's say, millennials, nothing against
Mm,
millennials, but understand me properly. Like they have just, I don't know, all their saving into cryptos, and they haven't prepared their food. They haven't prepared. No, I would store
yeah,
gas before cryptos, for example.
yeah,
I mean, we are in a big energy crisis. Of course, to store gas, it's not the same to store diesel than to store gasoline, but you can store both
mm,
actually, if you have the right additives for it, and if there is no sun on it, and so I would say these things have much more value, that you can drive all over the place, that they don't restrict your
mm.
movements. For me, it's more important that I can drive my car no matter what, unless it's completely forbidden to drive, which could happen
Yeah,
actually.
but
but
you will
but
have buying a car
yeah,
that's not controlled, by GPS or something that could be locked
exactly.
down. Yeah.
Exactly. So the point is that if you ask me, would you rather have one satoshi or 1 liter of gasoline? I would rather have a 1 liter of gasoline stored, and
Mm,
this kind of things. And how James says, if it ain't physical, it ain't yours. Totally
mm,
agree on that. I
correct.
mean, this doesn't mean you shouldn't have cryptos at all. I mean, you could have a percentage. It all depends on how your assets are. I mean, how much money you have, and how do you want to diversify. I mean, you need to diversify. You need to have
Mm,
definitely defense. You need to have,
uh,
if you have money, you should have your own land, and you should be able to plant tomatoes as well. I mean, you should also gain the skills, because many people say, how do you prepare? I think preparedness is more about having the skills than knowing the theory, because many
yeah.
people tell me, what is prepping? Well, prepping is no, I don't know. I know how to do yogurt and cheese out of powder milk. I know how to
Mm,
make my own cheese. I mean, and that has much more value. My wife and me, we went to different courses. We learned how to do cheese out of goat milk, out of cow milk, all the kinds of things. How to make different kind of cheeses on your own. I know how to make my own beer, and this has much more
mm,
value. I mean, if I get some corn, and we have the fridges, and I don't know, maybe my own beer will have much more value in the future. So you need to diversify in skills, and many people
mm,
forget that. They think just
yeah.
watching a YouTube video makes you skillful, and that's not true. You need to be hands on. If you want to learn cheese, you need to dedicate a month for it. You need to buy the milk. You need to mix it. You need to heat it over 80 degrees. The pasteur, whatever, depasteurize it or not. Depends what kind of cheese you are making. And you need to learn all the skills. If you want to plant tomatoes, you need to plant it. It's not about watching a YouTube video to plant potatoes, whatever. And you need to learn the skills and do it while your dollars have value. I mean, you can buy now courses. You can go to the countryside and learn to plant tomatoes. That's a very good investment to acquire skills and acquire skills out of your comfort zone. Because I see many preppers that I don't know, for instance, they're very good with, I don't know, with guns or whatever. And it's very important you prepare in the area where you are not strong. Let's say I know some preppers, they are very good with solar panels, right? They're professional in solar energy. And they tell me, but I have a lot of panels and I have a lot of batteries and I have a lot of cable, copper and whatever. I say, who cares? I mean, you don't have guns. They can steal it from you. You understand? You always need to hedge in the area where you are most weak. And people don't understand it. If you're weak with skills, you need to be skilled now. I mean, learn how to do beer, learn how to plant a tomato, learn how to shoot a gun. This you need to learn the skill. You don't learn to shoot in a day. You need to practice, right?
No, absolutely.
And absolutely. I mean, having a gun is not going to save you unless you practiced a lot, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. We can make our own beer. You're always welcome here in Ireland. I did as well black beers, stout and so on. Yeah. And I'm not an expert on renovation. I just started to do a bit of beer. But the point is, I know the process, how it works, right?
Yeah, you could replicate it and escalate and make it better. Look, there's someone here. Any truth to the rumors that we're out of diesel in 25 days? Look, I saw that from Tucker Carlson saying that the United States will be running out of diesel in 30 days. He was also saying in the same clip that this year 10,000 Brits would freeze to death because of the war in Ukraine. That is, every single year, thousands of Brits have been dying of fuel poverty for the last decade. So it's nothing new. It's been happening for a long time already. So I think that wasn't very honest. I don't know about the diesel stuff. It's probably not true either.
the diesel, the point is there's different types of petrol. People don't know it. There's petrol of high quality, like the Russian petrol. And there's petrol of low quality, like the Venezuelan petrol. And you cannot make diesel out of the petrol from Venezuela because it's a very heavy petrol. And all the economy is run on diesel, guys. I mean, all
because of the trucks, right?
Oh yeah, all the farmland, all the transport,
farmland,
all our economy is based in diesel, and it's true. The first shortages will be diesel. Well, right. Whether they will be in 30 days or in half a year or in 3 years, we don't know. But once you see that diesel, for example, in Spain, the price of gasoline was always like 20 cents above diesel, and now it's the other way around. Now diesel is 20 cents more expensive than gasoline. And these are the first signs that there is a diesel shortage. So I would say you need to store diesel. If you have a truck or you have a car or you have whatever, a van which runs on diesel, that's a thing you need to consider.
And diesel is easy to store.
It doesn't burn so easily. It's very easy to store. It's only about the bacteria. You just put an additive and it stands for years. You just need to filter it back when you go to your car, because I did the mistake to put all diesel in my car and I fucked up the carburetor, right? But just filter it when you get back to the car. But otherwise, it's something which is very important. And there could be a diesel shortage. I don't think it's so crazy. I think it's the first thing, the first signs of the energy crisis, at least in Europe, I would say, but probably in America as well. And if we have a diesel crisis, you better be prepared, because the next thing is there's shortages of food in the market, right? They're not going to bring the cheese to the stores. So I don't want to be sounding like a pessimist or don't take me wrong, right? It's better you better get prepared now with your strong dollars. Conscious is asking if the forex market is going to be around. I think yes, for the next years it's going to be around, and if not, it's going to be the forex market of CBDCs. Whether you want to trade that, that's your question. But of course, the forex market will be around for a while. We don't know
Yeah.
how long, unless we go
Diesel.
to this scenario number 4.
Hmm.
There will be always markets. Yeah,
Diesel
$5 a
almost
gallon.
five a gallon. That's expensive, right? For Dallas Fort Worth, that's a pretty high price. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's to
yeah,
be expected.
yeah. I don't know how much diesel. Mexico has probably good petrol, and probably they can
Hmm.
export to America. But it also depends on the bilateral relationships, which I think now they are good. But you don't know. Maybe next year there will be shortages of diesel. In the energy
Hmm.
crisis we're living, the first thing which will be missing is diesel. That's why we're discussing about gas, because with gas you could have gas cars, you could have a gas van, but
Yeah,
you cannot transform the whole industry into this Green New Deal. That's bullshit. That's bollocks, right? I mean
yeah.
that you can change all the trucks into electrical
Electric.
trucks. There's no
No,
way. There's
and
no
the thing
way.
about all of that, the thing about all of that is, uh, how are you going to be powering all those cars? Because if everyone has electric cars, what, everyone's going to be hooking up their electric car at night when they go back from work? The grid will
Exactly.
not take it. You need
No,
it's super inefficient to have
it's
that kind
super
of
efficient.
system.
You need to move tons of earth in order to get lithium, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, there will be fights for lithium. I mean, for example, Portugal found a lot of lithium. Spain has
Mm.
quite a bit of lithium. That's very good.
In
China has
Africa.
lithium. Yeah,
Yeah.
Africa as well, and especially these countries like Kazakhstan and so on, right?
Mm.
But the thing is that it's not gonna make the whole. There's gonna be a lot of people that they will have to stay home if there
Mm.
is no diesel, and this is the point. And you can eat your cockroaches or whatever Klaus Schwab told you to eat, which
Yeah.
is a cheaper protein. You know, it's a cheaper
Yeah.
protein. It doesn't, and the meat is out of the game. Not because
Yeah.
of climatic reasons or whatever argument they're using.
Yeah,
It's
that's
basically
bullshit.
it's because
Mm.
it's yeah, that's bullshit. It's because it's because of energetical reasons. They want to keep the diesel for them, right? And they want
Mm.
to keep their airplanes for them. I mean, if there's not enough fossil oils, then not everybody can fly to
Yeah.
Cancun or whatever to spend the weekend. That's going to be really a very, very, very expensive utility to go
Mm.
abroad in the airplane.
Yeah.
So that's a thing you can do as well. I mean,
Mm.
still you can fly
Yeah.
cheaply. So if you want to visit some place, that's also a good investment. I mean, not everything is
Do it
preparing.
now. Do it while you still can.
Yeah,
Go visit and have holidays while you can, because soon enough they will have restrictions and the prices will go through the roof and you won't be able to do it anymore.
yeah. Rare earths. Conscious movie is saying about the rare earths in Afghanistan. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Well,
Angelina was eating. I don't know if you saw this terrible video. I think it was United Nations video. Angelina was eating cockroaches with kids, teaching them. It was
yeah.
terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
if you tell me 3 years ago I would be watching so much shit in the
Yeah.
internet. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know what is paid. Like they pay these celebrities fortunes for their support with all of this
yeah,
insanity.
it's
They pay them fortunes for eating rats and cockroaches. Not even rats, just insects. Well,
yeah.
the cockroach thing is directly out of Snowpiercer. Have you seen that movie, Snowpiercer?
No, no.
You have to watch it. It's a train that never stops. I think it's a novel actually, but Snowpiercer is a movie where they realize one of the breaking points is they realize that the poor in the train, because it's the end of the world and everyone lives in a big train, and the
Uh-huh.
poor in the train are being fed cockroaches, like some
Oh,
paste, like a gelatin thing. They eat that and then they realize it's cockroaches that they're eating, because the rich eat actual food and the poor eat insects. Anyway, yeah, it's very much this sort of stuff.
I need to watch that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, yeah,
It's
definitely.
predictive
Snowpiercer.
programming. I mean, it's all in the
Mm,
movies, but you
mm.
should prepare. Yeah, yeah. It's all in the movies. They prepare our subconscious with those movies, right? Like
Yeah.
so you saw it already, and when it comes, I don't know. Like I would say, I don't know if I can. This would start with P and finishes with A. They're
Mm,
preparing society for it, right? Like
yeah.
adults
Yeah.
having things with small
Yeah,
children. Right?
the sexualizing
Yeah,
of minors in schools, in TV, even in cartoons. I have
yeah,
little kids. You wouldn't believe some of the cartoons they're showing babies now. They have a very nasty, sick message, but they're trying to shape their minds with all of this depravity of theirs. So you have to be very careful. We're in very dark times. Not
we're
to be
very, very. I
depressing.
mean, there is discussions. The other day, I follow. I used to live in Germany. Probably you noticed my accent. And I used to live in Germany for several years. I went to the German school, and I used to follow recently in Twitter. There was a big debate in Germany about hormone blockers.
Yeah,
And this is terrible. I mean, how can it be that the state is giving to 10-year-old kids hormones in order for them
well,
to
it's already
decide?
happening in the United States. It's in the United
Really,
States
that's
already.
terrible.
Yes,
I mean, just
yes.
you can be a boy or a girl depending on what you choose. Just block your hormones now, and you don't develop. You still
Yeah,
keep on your
and
life.
they are
It's,
saying the narrative is that you
yeah,
can just take them, and then if you regret it, you can just stop, and then you go back like normal, and like it has no effect on your body.
and
It's
it's so
insanity.
disgusting. And
Yeah,
some people said in Twitter, yeah, this was done by Angela Merkel. And I
yeah.
was in shock. I said, Angela Merkel put the hormone blockers for 10-year-old kids in Germany, and it's paid by the government,
It's
And you decide,
insane.
oh, I don't know if I'm a boy or a girl yet, And this is disgusting. I mean, it's so dark. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know what to
yeah. It
say.
is.
I don't want them to censor this video, right? But
Yeah.
it's so dark. I mean,
Well,
you need
they
as
have
well to
an agenda. They have
yeah,
their agenda of very sick. Well, you know about that little island that we cannot even mention, but how many
yeah,
famous people,
yeah,
were in that island? These people are very perverse. They have
yeah,
some very sick ideas. So, yeah, it
yeah.
shouldn't be a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to prepare for all these scenarios. I mean, it's difficult when you have so many possibilities ahead. But the basic is have your food in place, have your
Mm.
defense
Yeah.
in place, have your backup place in place, like where you can, if you need to leave the city, where are you going to go? You should at least have some place where you can go if something, if society gets wrong or economy gets wrong. Some
Mm.
friends that have farmland or that are out in the countryside, or better make
Yeah.
friends now. I mean, you're still in time. I mean, and yeah, it's a different fourth turning. When I was reading the fourth turning, I thought, yeah, there have been a lot of fourth turnings, right? The American Revolution and whatever, the War of Independence, and there have been always difficult times. But I think this fourth turning is completely different in human history. First, it's
Mm.
global. It's not only in one country, and it's all over. And I think, especially the Western countries, it will hit stronger.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have some connections in Russia. Of course, there's a lot of shit happening in Russia, censorship, and so on. But I think they're really winning from this war. I mean, their economy is not as strongly hit as the Western European
Mm.
economy, right? And yeah, they're saying here all the crap over children's books and so on. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
So guys, just get together your things, and
Yeah. And
if
prepare.
Fernando wants, I can come back. We can talk about storing meat, whatever, which is probably less interesting but more practical, and
Yeah.
we can talk about it. Not a problem. Or storing rice,
Absolutely.
or whatever you want.
Hey, you have Pablo's links. You have his channel there below in the description. The FX method as well, and of course you have my work, my books available below in the description. Matt's books are also there, and yeah, prepare while you still can. All of this stuff you can do now. Tomorrow we just don't know, so do things while you still can. That's basically the advice, right?
Yeah, that's the basic advice. And start with little
Okay.
things, because some people said, yeah, oh, I don't have money. But you have money for cans, right? For canned beans. So start with that, and you'll feel better and better. I mean, of course, when you are prepping, you think, but you need to have your normal life as well. You need to watch your
Yeah.
football, whatever you like, or your movies, have your life with your wife or whatever, kids or whatever, or parents, and keep doing your normal life and dedicate a part of your life to prepping, And do little steps, but do one after the other, and sooner or later you will see that you're quite well prepared. And while
Absolutely.
majority of people are daydreaming, I mean, you talk with people and they say, "Oh, war in Russia is not so bad," or whatever. Or the economy is not that bad; it will recover. The stock market will recover. And when I hear that, I say, "No, this time is different. I mean, it may recover till January, but then later we'll see another bear market. That I'm certain there will be not a bullish market in 2023. Not even if they make a peace treaty, which it could be a scenario. I mean, that suddenly they make a peace treaty and everything is fine, which but it's very, very improbable.
Very unlikely. Yeah, very unlikely.
Yeah, very unlikely.
Anyway, yeah, I think it was good, Pablo. I think we had a good show and people liked it. So yeah, that's gonna be all, guys. See you next time, and as always, Pablo, thanks, and we'll keep in touch. Okay.
We keep in touch. Thanks to you, Fernando, to the audience.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.